Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Choma of Choma Stitches. Today guys, we're going to be making a trouser with a shirt, and this is the pattern we created on this channel. I'm going to be leaving the link to this pattern drafting, to this trouser pattern drafting in the description box below, so you can go ahead and check it out. So that is the beauty of pattern drafting. You can draft a pattern and use it multiple times. So this pattern, we drafted it for our trouser drafting class, and so today we're going to be using it to sew a trouser and a shirt. So this is the back pattern, and here is the front pattern. Okay, and then this is the band, the front band and the back band as it is, and then these are the pocket bag and pocket cover for this trouser. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. This is the fabric I'm going to be using. I'm making 2 trousers and 2 shirts. So this is one of the fabric, and this is the other fabric. So I'm going to be using this to make a trouser and a top, and this to make a trouser and a top as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and spread this out and cut out the trouser that I want to make. Okay, so I've cut out the trouser pattern, as you can see. So I'm trying to show us here because the length of the pattern is not as long as the length I want it to be. Like, that's why I had to add, and I added extra excesses on the side because I wanted to have a little bit of palazzo effect. Okay, it won't be very full, but it will just be just the way I want it. As you can see in the picture, it's not too full for a palazzo and it's not tight for a straight pant trouser. Okay, that's the effect I'm trying to create here. That's why I added a little bit of excess on the side, and I also added 1/2 inch at the edge there for joining the trouser to the band. Look, now if you look at the front part, you'll see that I did not add the excess fabric for this zipper flyer. And this is because I'm not going to be adding the zipper in front. I'm going to be sewing the zipper on the side. So the side sewing allowance is enough for me to also add the zip. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew and join the back piece together with the number of allowance I added, and join the front piece as well. So let's cut out the other part of the trouser piece and then we'll start sewing. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and draft out the shirt part of this these 2 pieces we're making. So I'm going to go ahead and draft the shirt part. Okay, so to draft this shirt, the length I need is, I want it to be as long as 26 inches, but what I have here is 24 inches. So I'm going to work with 24 inches. When I'm transferring the pattern to fabric, I will add the 1.5 inch difference that I want. Okay, and I also add the folding allowance. So what I have here is 24 inches. So I'm going to work with 24 inches. So I'm using the whole of it, and then because it's going to be that long, which means it will be getting to my hip area, and so I'm going to be using the largest part of my body measurement to divide this pattern into front and back, which means I'm going to be using my hip measurement, and my hip is 42 inches, and 42 inches divided by 4 will be 10.5. So I'm going to be using 10.5 to divide this pattern paper. So let me just use 11 inches instead of 10.5. Okay, so I have the 11 inches here and 11 inches here. So I'm going to be drafting this part to be the back piece, and this will be the front piece. Okay, so now for the back piece, because it's a shirt, there's not going to be zip at the back. So since there's not going to be any zip at the back, we don't have to add any zip allowance. Okay, boom. And then for the front is going to be having the allowance for the buttons. We're going to be adding the allowance for the button flyer. Now for the button flyer, if you want to make your button, if you're going to fold your button flyer with 1 inch twice, which means you have extra, you need to add extra 2 inches to the front piece. And then for the button flyer to overlap each other, you will need like half an inch, so you're going to be adding 2.5 inches for that. Now but if you want to use 0.75 inch to overlap for your to fold your button flyer, then you're going to be adding 1.5 inch. Then if you add over half an inch for overlapping, for it to lap each other, you're going to now make it 2 inches. So I'm going with the second option, which is the 0.75 inches. So I'm going to be adding 2 inches at the beginning for the front part, and these 2 inches is going to be my button flyer. So here, 2 inches. This is my button flyer. Okay, all right, so now let's impute the measurement. So my shoulder measurement, my shoulder is 15 inches, and divided by 2 is going to be 7.5. And because this is going to be a free shirt, I'm going to be using 8 inches for my shoulder. So instead of 7.5, I'm marking 8 inches. So I'm going to mark 8 inches on both sides. Now for the front, I am going to be starting my 8 inches before the button flyer. So let's be conscious of that. Okay, now I am going to be marking at for the front slant. I'm going to be marking at 1.5 inches. For the back, I'm going to be marking at 1 inches for the shoulder slanting. And then I'm going to be imputing the shoulder armhole, the armhole measurement. And to get your armhole measurement, I usually work with my bust. So my bust divided by 6 will give me I will divide your bust by 6 inches and add 1.5 to it. So mine 35 inches divided by 6 plus 1.5 will give me 7.33. So I'm going to be marking at 7.3 here. Now because this included if I measure from the top, from the shoulder line, including the 1 inch shoulder slanting, I'm going to be having 8.3. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring the 8.3 here. So instead of remeasuring it over here, so now I can connect these two lines together. So this line will be my armhole seating. Okay, this is the armhole seat, this line. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and mark this this shoulder line. I'm going to mark it down to meet the armhole line. That's the armhole seating. Okay, now to get the neckline, for the neckline you are making a shirt, which means the shirt is supposed to be exactly on your neck, like it's supposed to cover your neck bone. So now to get, if it were to be a round neck dress I'm making that's going to just sit on top of my neck bone, what I usually do is divide my bust measurement by 12, and that usually gives me 2.9. But now because this one is a shirt and I want it to really be on my neck, I'm going to be using 2.5 inches for my neck line. So I'm marking 2.5 inches here. And then for the back, I'm just going to use half an inch for the back to slant this 2.5 inches. So the depth for the, oh, I made a mistake. Okay, so for this is the back. I keep forgetting because I always work with the back here. So I'm going to be using 2.5 inches for the back. And this 2.5 inches, I'm going to be slanting it with half an inch for the depth for the back piece. So I'm going to be marking out half an inch. So I'm using half an inch to slant the back, and then I can now connect this shoulder, the neckline, to the 1 inch shoulder slanting. Okay, now for the front, I'm going to be using the same 2.5 inches. And if you notice, I'm taking my measurement from the line before the button flyer. So I'm going to be measuring the 2.5 inches, and the depth for it, I'm going to be working with, now I'm going to be working with 2.9 inches for the depth. So I'm going to just use my ruler to curve this. Now for this front, I'm just going to extend it with a straight line for the up to the button flyer. Now this is our front. I will now connect the neckline to the 1.5 inch shoulder slant. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is curve the armhole line. Now for the front, I'm going to go up by 3 inches, and then I usually come in by 0.75 if it's a dress that is going to be hugging me. Note that very well. If I want the dress to like hug me, to be tight on my body, I use 0.75. But because I want this dress to just be free, it's a free shirt, I'll be using 1/2 inch. Please note that. So I'm going to be ruling this 1/2 inch to the shoulder slanting, and then I'll use my ruler to curve here in. Now for the back, I'm going to divide the back into 2, the back armhole into 2, and I'll mark the middle, and I'll also come in by 1/2 inch as well. Okay, now we have our armhole marked out. The next thing we're going to do is impute the other measurements, that's the horizontal measurements. So from my shoulder to my bust is 10 inches. And then from the shoulder to the curvy part of my body, I'm going to be working with 16.5. So this is my 16.5. And shoulder to my hip is 24. So we're going to be using the whole of this. So that I'm just using broken lines, but we understand what this means. I can also rule out the lines just to give us clarity. Let me just rule it. Okay, so the same line, I'm going to be connecting it to the front. Alright, so we have our hip, we have our waist, and the bust. Alright, so like I said, this shirt, I want it to be a free shirt, and so for that you don't have to use your exact measurements. So my bust area is 35 inches. 35 divided by 4 will be 8.75. So instead of marking 8.75, I'm going to be marking say 9 inches or 9.2 inches, but I want it to be free. Okay, now my waist area, my waist is quite curvy. My waist is 28 inches. That would have been 7 inches if I had to mark it, but I don't want it to be curvy, so I'm just going to be using 8.5 inches or 8 inches for my waist. So I'm using 8 inches for my waist. And then for my hip is 42 inches divided by 4 will be 10.5. So this is a 10.5 here. I'm just going to mark out the 10.5 inches for the hip area. I can say, because I'm trying to make all this dress free on all sides, I can try to add 1/2 inch as well to it, or 0.25 to it. So now I can connect these lines. Now I don't want this dress to have a pointing line. I'm just going to go ahead and smoothen this line. Okay, now I will repeat the same thing on this back part. Okay, now we have our shirt. Now usually when people make their shirts, some people might decide to come here and give it curves. Okay, now I can just do this just to show us, in case you want to try yours and you don't want yours to just be straight. I'm just going to be introducing it, but I will not cut it out because mine is going to be straight. Okay, now if you are someone who likes to make your shirt not to be straight, you want your shirt to have some curve on the side, you can come here and come in say by 3 inches, and then you can come up by 2.5 inches or 2 inches, and then you will take your curved rule and you will connect these two places together. Now when you sew this is supposed to give you some kind of curve on this area of your dress, or so you can also come up here and make it 2 inches, 2.5 inches from the sides, 2.5 inches, and this is going to help to give you a curved shirt on the side. So let's do the same thing here for the front piece. So 3 inches, 2.5 inches, and then you connect it. Now this is for if you want to give it some curve on the side. Mine is going to be straight, so I'm not using this marking, please. so that we will not get it twisted. I'm not using this place. I'm going to be cutting it straight with the original markings. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out this pattern because we don't have really much to do here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut out this pattern. Now I noticed that this from this bust area, I did not mark this line up to the armhole. I'm just going to straighten it. Just extend the line to the armhole, and that's it. So let's cut out our pattern paper. Now, because these measurements that I used here are not my exact measurements, I am going to indicate them on the pattern in case I want to use this pattern in next time. So my shoulder SH, I used 8 inches here. The bust, I used 9.2 for the bust area. For the waist, I used 8 inches, and for the hip, I used instead of 10, I used 10.8 instead of 10.5. So this thing I'm indicating is because when I want to mark out, when I want to use this pattern next time, if I want to make a shirt that will be tight, I will know how I'm going to eliminate all of these excesses. Okay, just for that. I'm indicating the neckline here that I use 2.5 by 2.9 for the neckline. So this is going to also help me guide me. Okay. Now this is an already drafted sleeve. I have multiple videos on how to draft a sleeve in our channel, so you can go ahead and check it. I will drop the link as well. I'm going to be dropping a link on how we draft our basic sleeve. So all I do is take out the basic sleeve I've already drafted. When I take it out, I just place it on the pattern paper and I redraft, and I just cut out what I need for that one. So for the length I need for this one is not so long. The length I need is about 13 inches. Is for a shirt, it's a 13 inches, but when I'm cutting it, I can come up all the way to like say 8 inches to cut it. So I might use 8 inches when I'm cutting it, so I don't need so much for it. Okay, and as you can see, I added so much excess allowance because I also want the sleeve to be free. I don't want it to be tight on my body. So this is our pattern, our shirt pattern. So now I'm going to go ahead and place this on our fabric and cut out this pattern. Shirt I want to make the shirt that the back is going to have a little bit of difference. Okay, the back is not going to be just plain. The back is going to be a bit open. So now to achieve that, I want to transfer this back pattern to this paper, and then we can achieve the design I want to create. So this is the shirt pattern, and I want to alter it. And so for this, I want to cut open this place, this back, because I want the back to have two pieces that are going to be overlapping, kind of. So to achieve that, I need to cut out this part. That is why I'm going to be using these two pieces. And I'm not going to cut my main pattern because I'll be using this pattern in the future, so I don't need to destroy it. So that's why I have to cut out this, transfer the pattern here. Now this top part, this yoke, is going to be the back yoke is going to be cut on fold. Here will not be open, but this other part is going to be cut with this place being open. And you see, I didn't take out this allowance here. I need more than this allowance. So when I'm cutting it, I'm going to be cutting it with say 3 inches. So that it will be overlapping each other with like 3 inches. Okay, so let's transfer to fabric. Okay, so I've cut out the pieces. Let me just take a moment and explain all of this cutting. Okay, so we don't get it mixed up. So this is the front piece, and while we were drafting the front piece, we already added the 2.5 inches for the bottom flyer. Okay, over there. And then, like I said, the length of the pattern was not long enough to accommodate the length of the shirt I want. I want my shirts to be like 26 inches, and what I have was 24 inches. And now I have to add the extra that was not there, and I also added extra 1 inch to it for the folding allowance. So I have a 3 inches here that I added. So when you take out the 1 inch for folding allowance, you have the complete 26 inches. And then I have 1 inch sewing allowance on the sides and half an inch for the shoulder joining. Okay, that's for the front piece. Now for the back piece, like I mentioned, the back piece we have to split it in half to cut it into two, and that's because I'm going to be hemming here. I'm going to hem this part, and then we're going to attach it to the front to the yoke. Now when we're attaching it to the yoke, it's this back piece that it's cut into two is going to be overlapping each other, giving the back an opening. Now when I'm also sewing it, I'm going to sew it and stop somewhere around here. I'm going to be leaving 6 inches away from, I'm going to stop sewing the side 6 inches away, so I can fold in that 6 inches to give us a slit on the hip area, so that you can easily slide your hand into the pocket without stress. It's part of the design, okay? And then of course, to complete the length for the back piece, I had to add the 3 inches as well to complete the length. And then I added half an inch here. If you can see, half an inch on the top here and half an inch at the bottom here. This is so that when I join these together, we will now have this place will not meet to give us the length we want. And then as well, there is a half an inch for the joining of the shoulder over here. And this place, because we cut this thing at the bust area. Now before the bust area, we have the space between the armhole and the bust, so I have to also add a 1 inch sewing allowance to it as well. So we have 1 inch sewing allowance all the way here. Okay, now that is for that. I'm believing this has been explained. And then we have the sleeve. Like I mentioned, I could this is the sleeve pattern, but I decided to make the sleeve shorter. So this is the sleeve pattern, and I decided to make the sleeve shorter, and this is the length I have 8 inches. So the sleeve is going to be about 7 inches, because I'm going to be using hemming gum to hem I'm going to be hemming the edges of this sleeve with hemming gum. So with this hemming gum, I'm going to hem this side of the sleeve, and I'm also going to hem the bottom of the trouser as well with the hemming gum, so there won't be any sewing on that part. So now let's see for the sewing. Now that we're done drafting out, cutting out all the patterns, we're going to start sewing. Do well to have a matching thread for your sewing. This thread matches this sew, and then I am going to hem this place with quarter of an inch twice, or half of an inch twice. And when I'm done hemming it like so, then I'm going to be attaching it to this to the yoke of the back piece. Okay, and I also cut out the pocket for the trouser piece. This is the pocket bag here. This is the pocket bag, and this is the pocket cover. So I'm also going to go ahead and sew the pocket cover to the listen. So for the trouser piece, I have joined the trouser piece. So this is the trouser, and here this is the back. I have sewn this place, and this is the opening. See, when you open it like this, see, this is the back piece. I have I've joined the crotch area for the back piece, and I've joined the crotch area for the front piece as well. Here. Okay, now that I've joined the crotch area for this front piece, let me show us how we're going to attach our pockets. So I'm going to be starting with the pocket cover. So to do that, I'm taking out the pins, and I'm going to be laying it front side to front side. Like so, front side. I'm going to pin all here. So make sure that when you are placing it, the difference for both of them is the same. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and sew with quarter of an inch all the way, quarter of an inch here, and then 1/4 inch here, and then I'll open it and top stitch on this other part. When I sew this 1/4 inch, I'm going to trim here out. So alright, so as you can see, I've hemmed the down part of the back piece. I've hemmed it with 1/4 inch, and I've hemmed the middle as well, the middle of the back, where I'm going to be overlapping on each other. And this is the yoke of the back piece where I'm going to be attaching it to. Okay, and only the back has a yoke. So this is the front as well. I've hemmed the bottom of the front piece as well, and I've also hemmed the button flap as well. This is the part where the buttons and the buttonholes are going to be. So I'm going to be laying it down like this, as you can see, just one on top of the other. That's how it's going to be when we're done. And for the sleeve, I've used the hemming gum to hem the edges of the sleeve. So I'm going to take out the pin so that I can open it up and attach the down part to it. I'm indicating where the middle is. Now to attach the down part to the yoke, so I'm going to pick it up and minding where the middle is. Let me just turn the yoke upside down so that we can follow very well. So now we'll just pick up the down part and place it starting from the sides, as you can see. So the plan here is basically to make sure that we match them side by side and equally as well. So I'm taking this under one as well. I'm going to also place it, and I'm placing them right side to right side of the yoke, as you can see. So seeing that the allowance I cut was really much and the opening effect I intended would be defeated, so now I'm just going to give it a little pleat to reduce the overlapping difference, that's to reduce the quantity that will be overlapping each other. So I'm just going to be pleating it a little, maybe 1/2 inch pleating twice, that way, like I'm going to pleat this one and then pleat another one. That way it's going to reduce the volume of the fabric that is going to be overlapping each other, because I want the opening at the back to kind of be visible a little. That is, like, when you move around, it should show that the back is open, you know, but it will be covered when you are standing. But when you move around and like that swing the body, it should show a little bit of the opening. So that's why I'm doing the pleating. I don't want it to be too overlapped. Okay, so that's why I'm going to just go ahead and pleat on both sides little by little, and then hold it down with pins. Now after this pleating, I'm going to take it to the machine and sew a straight stitch to hold it down completely, to complete the back piece as a whole. Now that I'm done pleating it, I'm going to open it up so I will show you the effect I'm trying to create. See, the overlapping effect is not much. This is exactly what I wanted. So now let's work on the trouser piece as well. So I'm just going to lay down the trouser piece flat and then arrange it so that I will explain the sewing processes that has gone on. Okay, so I've sewn the pocket cover, and as you can see, and I look at the other part, I sewed it and I top stitched it very close to the body so that it will lay down flat when I iron it. See, as you can see, like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the other part and cut it very closely to the side so I can go ahead and top stitch it on the side so that I'll get the same effect, guys. So I've also taken out the darts. So now I want to attach the pocket bag, and to do that, I'm just going to pick out each of the pieces and place it right side to right side of the pocket cover that I've already sewn, and I'm going to go ahead and sew it with 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch all the way around, like so. Now when I do that, our pocket will be ready. Before I take it to the machine to join the pieces of the back shirt, let me show us the back piece for the trouser. I've taken out the darts, as you can see, and because I gave it good ironing, you won't see the dart line clearly. Okay, this is the down part. I've also used the hemming gum to iron it down so that it will be neat and there are no seam lines showing, as you can see, the same way as I did it for the sleeve of the shirt part. So now let's go ahead and sew the back pieces. I've sewn the back piece for the shirt, and as you can see, this is the overlapping effect. Now I'm going to just open up the front part and join the front to the back together and sew their shoulder, then we can attach the sleeve. And then this is the band for the trouser. As you can see, it's cut on fold, and for the front part you can see that the zipper flyer that was from the pattern, we didn't cut allowance for it. So let me just place it on the original pattern so that you can see. So you see the SS, that's the zipper flyer that's outside, that is where we had to cut. So I cut the band excluding the zipper flyer excess, And so because there is no zipper flyer for this trouser, the front band is cut on fold with no opening in the middle. Same thing with the back. So I'm going to place it on each other like this and sew the top. That way we can now use the down part that is open to attach it to the trouser part. And the same thing, I'm just marking it to mark where the wrong side of the fabric is. So I'm going to do the same thing for the back band as well. See, the back band has no joining as well, and the curve you are seeing on the back band is because when we're cutting the trouser pattern, the back part is higher in the middle than that of the front. You can watch our video on drafting trouser pattern so that you don't get confused, and the link will be in the description box below. I've sewn the shirt shoulder, so I'm going to attach the sleeve by joining the middle to middle. And now I'm going to be marking out the 6 inches that I said I'm going to leave in as on the shirt as the opening, and I'm going to sew and stop at that 6 inches. I have finished sewing the pocket back to the pocket cover, and now I'm just going to pin the pockets to the body of the trouser so that it doesn't move when I want to attach it to the band, so that I won't be sewing one part while the other is folded under, just for precaution's sake. Each side of the waist is 8 inches, so we'll have 1 inch for sewing allowance. Now I'm going to go ahead and attach the band to the trouser part, starting from the front. Just match it middle to middle and sew with a straight stitch on each side. Do the same thing for the back as well, as you can see. Alright, so I have joined the trouser band. See, this is the band, this is the back, and this is the front. And as you can see, the front has this curve, and this is because we use the trouser pattern that we drafted to do this, and then the band we drafted, that is what gives it this curve, because from the band the front part does not have to be straight, it's curved like the lower part of our body. We can now join the trouser pieces together by placing one on top of the other. So here, I'm just going to place the back on top of the front, and now I will decide which side I want my zip to be, and I think I would like it to be on the right side. So this is the right side. I'm just going to pin and mark where I want the zip to start, and so the zip, I want it to start where around the hip area, so that when I'm wearing it there will be ease wearing it. Okay, so I'm just going to mark like 10 or 11, so let's say 10 and a half. So I'm going to mark this 10 and a half. This is where my zip is going to stop. So the rest of it I'm just going to be sewing. So the rest I'm just going to be sewing with 1 inch all the way to the end. So for this part there is no zip. I'm just going to sew straight with 1 inch to the end, and I also sew the inseam. Alright, now this is for the top. Now the top, I have also attached the sleeve. Here is the sleeve. So we have the top here. Sleeve. This is the sleeve. So the neckline is still bare. That's what was left. The neckline is still bare. We're going to be drafting and cutting out the piece for the neckline right now. And then this is the sides. So this place that is open on the sides, I'm going to go ahead and fold it like so. So I will fold it like this, fold it twice. I'll just hem it by folding it twice inside like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and give it a straight stitch on all the pieces. Then let's go ahead and cut out the piece for the neckline. Now I'm going to be doing something a little different from what you know, and so I'm just going to go ahead and measure what I have here for my neckline. So I have a total of 17 for the neckline. Now I'm going to be cutting it out. So this is the piece that's left. I'm going to be folding it into 4 because I want to cut this like a perfect circle. So 17 divided by 2 will be 8.5. So let me measure 8.5. So this place will be 8.5. I like to make it 9. Okay, so I'm just going to come here and cut, measure from here to here. So this is like 7 inches. So I'm going to be marking this 7 inches. Let me be sure I am marking this on the wrong side. Yes. Okay, so let's measure. Okay, I have about 11 here. This is too much. I'm going to come up by 1 inch. And so here, I'm measuring this again to see what I get. This is by 11. What I need is 8.5. So 8.5 for the neckline, but I need ½ inch on both sides to give me a perfect distance. So I'm going to be using 9.5. So I need 9.5, and this is still very plenty. So I'm going to come up again. So let's measure. So this is like 9 inches. Okay, which means if I cut from half of this, I'm going to get the 9.5 inches. And then I'll decide how high I want this neckband to be. How high do I want the neckband to be? And so I can say I want this neckband to be like 1.5 inch high, which means I'll be needing 1.5 inch to join, to fold the top, and 1.5 inch for the sides. So I'm going to come up by 1.5. That's 2.5 inches. So I'm marking 2.5 inches. Okay, so now that I've cut it out, I'm going to be opening one side. In fact, opening both sides because it's folded into 2, right? So like this. This is going to be the neckline. On ahead to sew the sides. See, you can see that these sides have hemmed it by folding it twice and locking it at the center there. Of course, attach the sleeves and ironed it. Okay, now here is the neckline. I have attached it and see the curve it gave. This is the effect you are looking for, and this is it. So we're going to use the weaving machine to weave here. But when you are done weaving it, you just bring it down and top stitch all of this. Top stitch it there all the way to give it a nicer look. Okay, and mind you, for this dress, this top, this collar is not going to be coming together, only the body of the dress. So you can when we join here together, this collar will be open because the end of the collar cannot go around the neck. That is the style we're making. Okay, alright guys, so see, I've joined the trousers together. I've joined the front and the back of the trouser together, as you can see. And these are all the rough work we've done inside, and I'm going to be using a weaving machine to weave all of this to keep the inside as clean as the outside. So here, this is the pocket, so you can see the way it's laying perfectly, and this place is looking very flat, and you see that if you try to pull it apart, it's together. And that's because I used the hemming gum. I placed it in between the main fabric and the pockets and the pocket cover, and then ironed it to keep this place so it will be easy for you to just slide your hand into the pocket. So here, so I sewed the whole of this side, right? And like I said, I wanted to put the zip on the right, so I left the space where I'm going to put the zip on the side of the trousers, you can see. So this is where the zip is going to be, and this is my zip that I'm going to be putting here. And so I'm going to go ahead and sew the zip to this. If you don't know how to attach a zip to a dress, you may have to watch more of our videos, because I've made a lot of videos where I showed how I attach I sew zip to dresses. So to save us time, I'm going to be doing it off the camera. So, and this is the bottom of the trousers. You can see we're laying flat as well, because we also use the hemming gum here as well. and because it's perfectly ironed, you cannot even see that line. This is that line, unless you look closely before you can see it. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and finish this off, and then back to the shirt. So for the shirt, I'm going to be using buttons. So I'm going to be creating buttonholes. See, I've marked it 2.5 inches apart. So I'm going to be creating buttonholes on the places I've marked, and yeah, this is going to be laying on top of this, because this is going to have the buttonholes while this will have the buttons. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and create the buttonholes. So there is a machine that you can use to create buttonholes. I don't have that machine, so I might not be showing you how it's done. So using a manual machine to do it is quite stressful and doesn't come out as neat as using the actual machine for buttonholes. So, and then I'm going to create the buttonholes and then manually tack in, or I can also use the machine to tack in the buttons. So I'm sure there are places where you can do them. There are people who that's their job. The way you have shops that sell fabrics, there are shops where they make buttonholes and tack buttons. And the next time you see it will definitely be on my body when I model it. So say thank you guys for staying to the end of the video, and do like and share this video, and subscribe if you have not subscribed. And to our new subscribers, you're welcome to the family, and I hope you see reasons to stay with us. I also have paid classes. These are classes that are more structured, that are more time consuming, and they require a lot of time to make and a lot of resources. So those ones are paid classes, and if you want to join our paid classes, you can check our WhatsApp number in our description box below. You will see our WhatsApp number, so you can reach out on the WhatsApp if you want to join any of our classes. So when you join, take our WhatsApp number, you can check the catalog on the WhatsApp and see classes that are on currently, and you can register. And I promise you, all our classes are very, very affordable, and as usual, you will learn very, very interesting and unique techniques that will help broaden your ideas and help you put you on the right path. So you do well to join those classes, and like I always tell you guys, upgrade is a must. It's very important that you upgrade your skills. So see you in my next video. Thank you so much for your support. I love you. Bye bye.